You need to be a sociopath in modern dating. Relationships aren't the same anymore. People aren't going in with the intentions to get married. They're trying to finesse you, waste your time with duplicitous moves that only benefit themselves and harm you. You need to cut through these tactics in order to find someone who is right for you. Don't give loyalty until you receive it. Make sure your time is best utilized for yourself. Stay unattached by dating several people at the same time. It doesn't hurt to save on Uber money by getting one date to drop you off to the next date. Don't invest in someone who doesn't prioritize you. You are the most important person in your life. The second are your friends and family. Don't drop plans with your friends and family in order to go to a date. Ruthlessly cut out people who do not match your expectations. Trust me when I say they're going to do this to you too.
Get one date to pay for your Uber ride to the next date.
Him, bodies.
Dang fam, that's literally asking someone else to pay for you to have a carousel ride. I mean, ladies, you can take advice to be a sociopath in dating and have a roster all you want. But let me tell you a few things about this before you do it. Firstly, mileage racking is not going to raise your SMV, no matter what you tell yourself. It's the equivalent of a guy showering less and less while trying to convince himself it raises his SMV. The difference is you aren't going to smell more like yourself. Instead, you will be smelling like a bunch of dudes. Secondly, if you think men can't notice your loss of traction, think again. If there is one thing men can notice is how tight of a squeeze a spot is and how much lubricant is required for that mission to be accomplished. Finally, the bulk of men who try to finesse you are the ones with options. As in, you are one of his options, not the other way around. I'm not saying you should only shack up with betas, but then again, how much sour cream variety does your taco really need?
I can feel him running through my veins. He's still in me.
Moving on!
You know what's crazy? Is that the world hates hypergamous women. They hate the girl that won't go on coffee dates. They hate the girl that won't date the broke guy. They hate the girl that requires financial security. And the one that they hate the most is the one that requires all of that and also requires respect. But isn't it funny how everybody hates the hypergamous woman, yet everybody wishes their mom was hypergamous? Everybody hates the woman living a soft life, that is living in luxury, that is being taken care of, and that is being loved. But yet, everybody wishes their mom had that.
Can someone please tell me what this pro-hypergamy queen is smoking, because it can elevate a rhino? Sorry, sister, but firstly, men don't dislike a hypergamous woman. Most men just simply ignore them and move on. But because hypergamous women need attention like water to live, they translate being passed up in their noggins as it being despised. Men could care less. Get over it. The other part she said sounded like it came from a homewrecker's playbook. I have never heard the majority of people ever say, "Oh, I wish my mom would leave my dad for a man who makes more money." That is only logical in the pea-brain of an unfaithful woman who openly admits to the monkey branching strategy as a way forward for her future relationships. I am sure an HVM worth his salt is going to watch these videos and feel the need to wife her up, closely followed with a need to donate all of his cash to this gorilla.
Yeah, boy.
Moving on.
You know, part of what I don't get is how men can understand nature, yet they can't understand women. All of the men complaining about hypergamy right now, 1, it's nature. 2, you did it to yourselves. So understand, in nature, it never fails. The men with the most genetics, or the best genetics and most resources, get all the females. That's how that works, right? Now, when it comes to people, there's an offset, because women will often compromise on certain things for a guy that's really sweet, really kind, goes out of his way for her. You know, they'll compromise some of the things they would prefer because this guy really likes me. This guy really takes care of me. This guy's willing to bend over backwards for me. So they are willing to give that guy a chance and date him and maybe let it lead somewhere. Now, you have tons of men going, I want 50-50. I don't want to pamper a woman. I don't want to take care of a woman. I don't want to do anything for her. She's a grown adult. Why should I? Cool. If we're going to go 50-50, there's a reason we say you're a roommate. I can go 50-50 with another woman and still go with the other men. If it comes down to it, if you take all of the other stuff out of the equation and you literally just leave attraction on the table, that is exactly how it's going to go. Hypergamy.
Women will compromise for a guy who is sweet. Let me fill this young queen in on that part. Women who can't get the higher value men or bad boys or players to commit think they are compromising for a guy who is sweet. In reality, she is getting a guy who is on her level, although she thinks she has a higher SMV. Just because you can bed a HVM doesn't mean you deserve one. Let me explain that differently. Ladies, just because a man can rent a yacht for a day or two doesn't mean he can afford to own one. Same difference. Just because you got an HVM to munch on your taco once or twice, it doesn't mean you have all the assets to get him to put a ring on it.
Now that's a lot of damage!
And experienced men will tell you, don't try to understand women. Women understand women and they can't stand each other. I will say this young queen is correct that hypergamy is a woman's nature, but following that up by saying it's men's fault is oxymoronic at best. Nope, it's women who want to sleep with the same guys. Men just recognize it's as unavoidable as women having a higher risk for contracting STIs than men. It's nature.
If we leave the only factor, now understand, casual, like people are like, oh, I don't want anything serious. I just want something casual. Cool, no problem. Are you cute enough to act like that? Because guess what? When it comes to casual, most women are very, very selective, if at all. If they are at all willing to do something casual, it's going to be with that guy. Now, you guys use nature to argue all the time, all these points that are borderline disgusting, honestly. Like, at a certain point, like, I don't care, I agree, nature has a big fact in a lot of things, does not dismiss men going after children, and I mean legitimate children. Let's put that out there. However, you understand it when it comes to you, yet you don't get it when it comes to women. Convenient. So, at the end of the day, if you are not willing to put forth effort, that's fine. And most women don't care. What will continue to happen? You don't want to share resources, you don't want to put in effort, that's fine. What will continue to happen is women will share resources with other women, women will thrive in communities of women, and women will continue to only hook up with the top 10% of men because there is literally no reason for them to mess with anybody else. That's straight nature. Straight. That's all it is.
Oh, sister, men are very clear when it comes to casual women only do it with that guy. And that guy is Chad/Tyrone, who lays the pipe, keeps a fresh influx of single mothers going, and makes sure the child support office has a hell of a time getting paid. All in the name of the liberated, strong, independent Western women.
Emotional damage!
Now, to address this young queen's last 20 seconds of her delivery, no, she is not accurate on most of that part. The only resources women share with other women are community D and misery. For the most part, women don't thrive in communities of women. Just check the US Social Security system to find out that the bulk of the elderly poverty community is comprised of women. There is a reason men say single women keep women single, similar to crabs in a bucket. Now, women will continue to hook up with the top 10% of men, and then once they are single moms with 3 kids from different baby daddies, they look for those beta imp chumps to be their safety net for the roast beef rescue.
The thirst always wins.
Moving on.
So I just watched a video of a woman talking about her ex-husband and how replaceable women are for men. And I can attest to this. It's crazy. So in my youth, I was raised by the patriarchy, as most of us women are. It wasn't until much later that I understood my worth, but we'll get to that later. So being married, I did everything. I cooked, I cleaned, I set up events, I had the friends, I made the dates. I did everything for this man. Everything. And anytime I asked for help, there was always backlash and an argument. It was a manipulative tactic, and eventually it got into fear tactics, if you know what I'm saying. There was a time where I had this really great job, and then he convinced me to quit it, and then got mad when I was not bringing any money when he asked me to quit my job. There was a point where our money was combined, but we would get allowances every month or week so that I could spend my own money. It was so nuts. Meanwhile, this man's setting up his studio in our house, spending money galore. Our expenses are crazy. crazy, and that's not for me, because I have anxiety now about spending money because of his manipulative tactic.
She's going to sink, Captain. But she can't sink. She's unsinkable.
Yep, you all heard that right. Her ex-husband teaching her not to spend money and be mindful of future expenses is a manipulative tactic. Now, she said he spends money galore on his studio. What kind of expenses exactly? With few details to go on, it can be interpreted several different ways to include possible investments in upgrades to lower long-term maintenance costs. Unknown, but it would not make sense of a man who is mindful of a couple's expenses to throw money away. Oh, and the terrible manipulative tactic of saving money and only spending an allowance, as she put it, needing permission to spend her own money. Ladies, that tactic is called spending discipline. It is used to make sure your money remains your money and doesn't unnecessarily become someone else's money. Can anyone explain in the comments how so far her husband was the one who benefited the most when all she contributed was how she was able to spend their money?
So, to say that the man benefits more than the woman, 100%. I was losing my hair out of anxiety. I was walking on eggshells around this man. When I finally decided to end the marriage, and this is after like months of fighting through therapy, like we really tried. He grew up in a religious household, so divorce was not really in the picture, but it was in the picture for us. So I finally am like, all right, I'm done with this. This is so toxic. I cannot do this mentally. I'm very ill. Finally, I put myself into therapy because I felt like I was a crazy person, but it was really like a narcissist manipulation tactic, right? So get out of the marriage. A month out of that, he already has a new girlfriend. Trades in one for the other, right? This person has a rough background, so she's can put up with his BS. I'm learning my own worth at this point, and which is why I'm finally like, I'm done. I can't be in this. I cannot be in this for years and years and years with a person who doesn't even value me as a person. There's no way. That's clearly, you need somebody else for that. But it's not going to be me, and I feel so bad for this woman. Because that just shows her walk in life, right?
She feels so bad for the new woman.
Oh! Fiction can be fun!
All we keep hearing is how toxic her ex-husband was, but the only examples she has presented is him having a more traditional upbringing and having a save money mindset. And that caused her to lose her hair and need therapy? Sorry there, Cohen, but that sounds like you were desperate to spend money and find his mental discipline for saving funds for the future to be, in some way, shape, or form, toxic. You tell them, Queen, how after your divorce and going out to drop a G on a new handbag made you feel empowered and liberated. I may be wrong with what I'm about to say, but if her ex-husband found a new woman shortly after cutting away from his marriage, that means he is either a beta chump imp who was desperate to be with any woman, or he is a higher value man that other women recognize as a good long-term provider. If I was a betting gorilla, I would put my money on the latter.
But wait! There's more!
A month into us separating, the divorce papers haven't even been drafted yet. 2 months later, he already has this woman pregnant. Like, if it's not, they're not married yet. Even to this day, this was 4 or 5 years later. They're not married. Nope, but I bet you he's dangling that carrot. Because he wants to keep her, right? And that's an interesting space to be in. Now you have kids, and you're dangling the carrot of marriage to get her to stay. Manipulation, right? And I asked him before we signed the divorce papers, and I never talked to him again, why did you ask me to get married? Like, why did you want to marry me? Such a weird thing for someone, like just to want and to push. Why? And he was like, oh, I don't know. He knew. He knew that he wanted me to take care of him. He had severe mother trauma. He wanted someone to take care of him, do everything for him, and he wanted someone he thought he could manipulate. And early on in our dating, yeah, I was a little bit more malleable. But as we got older and I had to fight for my literal well-being and health. That was not the same woman, and he needed to trade me out.
He didn't get married to the new girlfriend, and he has a kid with her. I think he knew exactly what he wanted, and now he has it. This queen is evidently emotionally rocked by her ex-husband's new life. She said she hasn't talked to him in years, but it seems like she is stalking his day-to-day. Now, I do see part of her point in saying he probably married her because he needed her to provide something at first. With that said, the way she has run down the story progression, it sounds more like he outgrew her, not the other way around. Ladies, do you need me to tell you why that is?
How come? Tell me why! Say it! Say it!
It's because not once has she said he struggled without her or tried to get her back after their divorce. But she is all up in his business. And I bet she is the type to say she doesn't care about her ex-husband after being all up in his progression. Fam, I would say this is stereotypical female nature, but then I will get slapped with a misogyny label.
How dare you?
So it's interesting how it benefits men over women. I don't know if I'll ever get married again. I would sign a prenup. I would do a prenuptial agreement with my long-term partner. But I don't know if I would ever get legally married, because there's just something that switches in the male brain afterwards where they just feel very entitled to that person, where when they already feel territorial when you're dating them. So then having that legal document, like, oh, because literally in the subconscious of every male, back in the day before women had rights, a marriage document was that you were their property. It literally was. So I'm good on that. I am a feminine woman ready for my masculine man, but I do not need to have a marriage document in order to prove that. So there's that. And I just am so grateful that more women are becoming aware of their worth and their power, because hopefully that will help fight the patriarchal indoctrination of how men treat women. That's my TED Talk.
Queen, that thing that switches on in the male brain after getting married is the legal reality of the union they have signed on for, which encompasses financial responsibilities. And the controlling aspect she is referring to is the statistically proven by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reality of women overwhelmingly spend more money than men, i.e., men actually understand saving money is important for the long-term health of the relationship, regardless how many thousands of pairs of shoes you queens think you need. I truly love how some of these queens act like they grew up oppressed. What she is referring to as a man's property in a marriage is legal coverture, which was basically abolished in the U.S. by the Married Women's Property Act way back in 1845. Nice try there, Cohen. I guess you really have to reach to try and paint yourself like a victim. You don't see me protesting zoos because of poachers now, do you? Isn't it funny how she tried to talk about the new girlfriend being manipulated with a marriage promise, only to say she wants a man but doesn't need to be married? It almost sounds like she would trade places with the new girl. Either that, or she may even accept that HVMs in her future are on a shareable program with other women. I'm just saying, if you enjoy this audit, click on the video in the end screen for more content. If you would like to support the channel, please follow the link in the description to donate to our beer fund, or like, subscribe, and share this video on other social media platforms. If you agree or disagree with anything about this audit, please let us know in the comments. I'm going to leave this audit right here. I'll see all of you in the next episode.